After graduation from Columbia University in New York City, the career of Larry Bennett, jazz musician, began. Early in his career, while playing his bass in the New York area, he had the opportunity to lead bands at the famous Hotel Pennsylvania and the Hickory House, located on West 52nd Street. The Hickory House was one of the longest-lived jazz venues in the United States. It featured many of the masters of jazz. Flip Phillips joins Larry Bennett and his group at the Hickory House on 52nd Street for a long engagement. In 1949, Joe Glazer, his former manager and founder of Associated Booking Corporation, ABC, gave Larry his first job as an agent. While working with ABC, Bennett developed relationships with Duke Ellington, Billie Holiday, Earl Father Hines, Lionel Hampton, Jack Teagarden, Dizzy Gillespie, Dave Brubeck, and many, many others. Once, in the 1950s, Larry and Joe were able to book an engagement for the Max Roach Clifford Brown Quintet at a venue in Pennsylvania. To get to the club, members of the band had to travel in two cars. Max Roach drove one car, and Clifford Brown and pianist Richie Powell, Bud Powell's brother, were in the other vehicle. Unfortunately, Brown's car flew off the Pennsylvania Turnpike at a high speed, and both band members were killed instantly. Ever since this tragic accident, Max Roach has still not gotten over the fact the accident took the lives of two very talented young musicians who would have one day been able to contribute much more to the world of jazz. It was during the 1960s when Larry Bennett finally moved on. He and big band leader Bert Bloch co-founded International Talent Associates, ITA. Their agency developed and expanded the college concert field. They helped create such stars as Woody Allen, the Kingston Trio, Peter, Paul, and Mary, Simon and Garfunkel, and Judy Collins. After a few successful years, Larry merged ITA with General Artists Corporation, GAC, which later became Creative Management Associates, CMA. He served as Senior Vice President of the Personal Appearance One-Nighter Division for 5 years. He planned tours for names like Herb Alpert, Steve Lawrence and Eddie Gourmet, Tom Jones, and Tony Bennett. Incidentally, CMA is now known as International Creative Management, ICM. His close relationship with Dave Brubeck over many years was one of the reasons that Brubeck wanted to be represented by Larry Bennett and his new agency, Sutton Artists, which was founded by Larry and Frank Modica Jr. in 1970. This agency also represented Herbie Mann, Peter Nero, Arlo Guthrie, and Steve Allen. Dave Brubeck's addition to Southern Artists was part of maintaining the company's success during this time. I was fortunate to meet Larry Bennett in the early 1980s while he was producing the Broadway show Guys and Dolls at Resorts International Hotel in Atlantic City, New Jersey. During this time, my agency, International Entertainment Associates, IEA, was presenting and producing lounge acts and shows for various casinos and other venues. I first approached him to ask if he could help me attract some of the prominent celebrities of the jazz world to play engagements for my agency. He agreed and extended great generosity in lending much help with the project. This was the beginning of a long friendship. While friends and business partners, we produced many concerts and outdoor performances featuring vocalists and song stylists such as Bobby Rydell. These performances were played to a sellout crowd at an outdoor concert shell by the Hudson River in New York City. We also produced the Big Band Explosion featuring the Count Basie Orchestra under the direction of Thad Jones and Maynard Ferguson and his band. It was a one-time event that headlined the Wildwood Convention Center, Wildwood, New Jersey. On many occasions, Larry invited me and my colleague, Guy Galante, television producer-director, to his home. We would meet and discuss the jazz business and any further albums that were being produced by our studio facility. When these roundtable discussions took place, we always convened at Larry's house. His wife, Hillary, the most gracious hostess, and her mother, Edna, and Father Herb always welcomed us into their home. In my most recent conversation with him, I asked him about his views on mainstream jazz. He replied, quote, "The impact of rock and roll made the world think jazz had ended, and therefore jazz relegated to oblivion, a part of history past. Now it is apparent that, for the most part, cheap, hard rock and a variety of rock categories created for commercial reasons only will fall by the wayside, but mainstream jazz, in the capable hands of brilliant young musicians, will prevail and grow." Here's an interesting message Danny received on his phone from Larry Bennett's close friend, Sarge Weiss, who just happened to be Frank Sinatra's music publisher at Warner Brothers in Hollywood.
This is Sarge Weiss, California. I was calling for Danny Luciano, and I'll be here at the office now for not for too long, but I'm going out, but I will be back possibly around Danny, this is Sarge again. I didn't get a chance to really finish my message to you. I'm going to leave the office pretty soon, but I should be back here around 2 o'clock my time. And I would love to hear from you, and the fruit was just gorgeous. That's all I can add, but I would love to hear from you, Danny.
I'm really glad he enjoyed the fruit. Larry, who for a while retired and lived in Naples, Florida, and while there enjoyed the climate, wrote a book about memorable experiences as a manager, producer, agent, and musician. Larry Bennett, who has always been a professional in every sense of the word, and a friend who would always lend a helping hand, enjoyed a well-earned rest, and perhaps was the beginning of something new.